Shut up and sit down.
Hello, my friend. You are listening to the Dance Studio Scaled podcast, the number one place for innovative marketing, retention strategies, and business growth ideas made just for dance studio owners. Now, this isn't your average business podcast. We're here to shake things up, simplify the hustle, and focus on real, actionable insights. I'm your host, Jen Dalton, and after 30 years of running studios, coaching owners, and scaling businesses, I know one thing's for sure. There's no one size fits all in this industry. You've got the passion, and I've got the tools to help you take it to the next level. So hit that subscribe button, grab a coffee, and let's scale your studio together. Hey Dance Fam, thank you so much for being here this week. I hope you get a lot out of today's episode. I'm going to start with a fact. It's a fact that leadership can feel lonely. And I'm not talking like lonely in a dramatic way, not lonely because you don't have people around you, but just lonely in that quieter, harder to name way. I don't know if that feeling resonates with you. Maybe it does, maybe not yet, but this episode is for the studio owner who feels capable, responsible, and steady, but also feels like there's no one they can fully offload to anymore. And if that's you, you're not imagining it, you're not doing anything wrong. Leadership loneliness doesn't usually show up at the beginning. In the early days, everything is it's loud and it's busy and you're building and you're learning and you're surrounding yourself by people, parents, staff, students, supporters. But as the business grows, something shifts. You become the one holding the vision, the one seeing further ahead, the one making the decisions. Others don't fully see or understand yet. And that's when it starts to feel a bit different. And it's not because you're disconnected, but it's because your role has changed. Now, one of the reasons leadership feels lonely at this stage is you can't always talk openly with your team anymore. And it's not because you don't trust them or you don't love them, but because they don't actually need to be carrying the same weight that you do. They don't know about every concern, every doubt, every financial decision, every long-term consideration. Part of leadership is knowing what to share and what to hold. And I see people coming unstuck with this a lot. It's almost a maturity thing that I see. You know, I speak to some studio owners and they tell me about, what they're doing and what they're saying. And like inside of me is a bit like, oh, that's something I wouldn't be sharing with my team. Or that's, it blurs that line. And so it's something that we have to learn. And it is the next true step into leadership. But holding on to things quietly can feel isolating as well. And another shift that will catch people off guard is some conversations no longer fit. And it's not because either of you are wrong, but because you've grown. The things that used to energize you might not energize you anymore. The problems others are focused on might actually seem smaller or insignificant to you now. And it doesn't mean you're ungrateful, it just means your perspective has widened. And that widening can feel uncomfortable at times. At this stage, decisions will land differently. You're not just thinking about today. You're thinking about the impact on your team. You're thinking about your families, the impact on your finances, your future. That level of responsibility changes how you move through the business. It's quieter, it's more considered, it's less reactive. And sometimes it can create distance, even when you're surrounded by people. Feeling lonely at this stage is not a failure of leadership. It's often a sign that you've stepped into it properly. You care. I know you care. You think deeply. You're carrying more than you used to. And that comes with a different internal experience. The problem isn't the feeling. The problem is believing you're the only one that's feeling it. So what's going to help at this stage? Leadership loneliness doesn't disappear by being busier. It changes when you stop expecting the wrong people to meet the wrong needs. So a few things that can genuinely help you. First thing is just naming it and being okay with it. So finding the awareness that things are changing, your conversation, your circle of friends, your circle of support, your team, it's no longer what it used to be. You're aware that things are starting to change. The next thing is finding people who are at a similar stage or in business as well. Now, this is one of the best parts of being in the mastermind. Like, we're surrounded by a group of studio owners, so at similar stages, but with completely different goals and dreams. So the conversations that we're having, it's expanding people. It's allowing people to be vulnerable without that feeling of being judged. Because when someone truly gets it, the dynamic changes. There's less explaining, there's more understanding, there's that real empathy paired with the same drive and desires to build something meaningful. The next thing is to separate leadership support from friendships. Now, we have a small circle of friends, my husband and I. Within our small circle of friends, there are a handful in there that run businesses. And the conversations that we have with them are just different. They're in depth, they have an understanding, and we have an understanding when they're talking about things. There's just that ability to speak freely without the fear of being judged. And you can talk about things like massive failures or money that you spent that you just lost because your ROI didn't work out. Like, there's stuff that you can talk about in a really vulnerable sense that someone who's in the same situation as you just understands and gets. Now, letting this stage be what it is probably the biggest thing right now. It's not something to run away from. It's not something to be afraid of. Once you've got the awareness, you find your people, you learn how to separate your conversations. Just accepting it and then move through it is your way forward. One thing that often gets missed is leadership loneliness usually shows up right before clarity or right before your next big upgrade in business. Before things simplify, before decisions feel clearer, before you trust yourself more dearly. It's the space between who you were and who you're becoming as a leader. So it's a pretty exciting space to be in, really. But it just does feel uncomfortable. And it's also where depth forms. And it feels different because you're different. That's the reality of it. You know, you're carrying more perspective, more responsibility, and more intention. And learning how to lead yourself through this stage matters just as much as leading your studio. So if this concept is resonating with you, if you're like, yes, this is why I'm feeling a bit uneasy at the moment, things are shifting, it's a really exciting shift. But I want you to know this, what you're feeling is a big part of the work we do inside the Dance Studio Scaled Mastermind. It's not the tactics, it's not the quick fixes, but the support for each other who are carrying more and want to lead with clarity and structure and confidence as they move into what's next for them. Now, throughout March, I'm hand selecting a small cohort of studio owners who are ready for the next stage. Positions in our mastermind are intentionally capped, and the next intake is already in motion. So if this is a space that you think you need support, if this is something that you know you need right now, can I encourage you to send me a DM on Instagram and we can jump on a quick chat to see if this could be your next right move. All right, my friend, I hope you have been able to take something away from this. As I said, it's a real feeling, but I want you to know that you aren't alone. There are people out there who can support you. So open up your lines of communication, start researching, start having the conversations. I'm here for you. You can always reach out to me through Instagram. All right, everyone, I will catch you same time, same
Thanks
place.
for tuning in to the Dance Studio Scaled podcast. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit subscribe, leave a review, and share it with other studio owners who would love it too. And let's keep the conversation going. Follow me on Instagram at Jen Dalton for more tips, insights, and behind-the-scenes moments to help you simplify and scale your studio. Until next time, keep dreaming big and taking action. I'll see you back here soon.